long clip.
And then now
It's like step off the edge and die. Like
Yeah,
hurry
so
up and do it.
They were saying,
They were
a
saying
long
it's
clip,
short.
so
Yeah.
that you would die.
Because you don't sometimes all just
I was like, that's so dumb.
a short one, and then instead of playing video games, that's why phone was
The short one, you don't die. What's the point of telling someone to watch it?
No, we're talking about
Saying
time.
us,
Okay.
We're not distant, it's time.
Okay, good, I'm glad I'm not.
Oh, I get it now.
Idioms and euphemisms are probably the hardest thing about the
Oh, yeah.
English language for other people to learn. Nare. Like, here's one for today that we're going to talk about. Have you ever heard the saying, cutting off your nose to spite your face?
No, I didn't.
No, that's actually.
It's important to know that today. Those are idioms. It's like, it's raining cats and dogs. Some person who speaks Russian or Armenian or Spanish, you tell them that and they think literally, it's raining. Okay, I know what that means. Cats and dogs. And they're like, what? That makes no sense. You Americans, your words are crazy. So, that one just means like, basically, get out of here and die, is what you say.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Got that over with.
moving on. We're going to look at the calendar that's on the front page of Canvas. Plug in then.
I disagree with the red statement. I think it's just a dispatch serve.
Yes, I did.
But cold, you enjoy it better.
Why is it?
Ask
What
your
makes it?
French.
It's like pizza.
No, because you had to wait 45 years if you're the French. Now, we ended with the Treaty of Versailles before we went on spring break. A lot of you were gone. We basically modified things so there was not an assignment for you if you were gone.
What did
Videos
we
on
do?
YouTube. Here's what I will tell you. The events that we get to in about 3 weeks will not make any sense unless you know what happened at that Treaty of Versailles. We did the Thursday that a lot of you were gone, the last day before break. It's going to come back to haunt us. And you guys had an opportunity to negotiate it as a class, and you made almost all the same mistakes that those three guys made in real life. Lloyd George, the British Prime Minister, Clemenceau, the French President, and Woodrow Wilson. We messed some stuff up, but that is going to simmer on the back burner while we take a little sachet into another event that's happening as World War I goes on and ends. Now, I am probably not the world's foremost expert on this. I know that history is not your forte, your specialty. But as the resident Armenian, I am sure in your schools this is like a focus of a lot of your history classes, at least when you do Armenian history. If I misspeak or misrepresent something, I am giving you my permission right now, Nare, to like raise your hand or yell at me and correct me. And I will not take it personally and I will not be mad at you.
I'll correct.
Okay? I will tell you this. When we ask for foreign exchange students,
You asked for them?
yeah,
I thought they just came in.
our request, you're going to laugh at this, they're not going to get my joke. Last year, you had to figure out who's coming for this school year.
Hey, ask them.
We asked the State Department, the government agency to handle that stuff, can we get an Armenian and a Turk and bring them into our school?
Who's a Turk? Turkish.
Minute, see what she's doing? She's laughing. Do you like my joke?
They hate each other.
I get it.
I don't get it.
That's like boiling water, right? The only thing worse would be an Azerbaijani and an
I don't know
Armenian
if that
after
is
this weekend, right?
Arabian?
So, I'm talking about nationality, it has nothing to do with race.
She's over there.
She's laughing at my joke because putting a Turk and an Armenian in the same school will not be a good combination.
See,
even
that's
today.
a messed up joke you pull in there. You're like, give me one of these because they hate each other.
It's a history joke. And
That's
they
a messed up
sent,
joke.
they sent a Turkish student to Kemer last year, but when we got Nari to come to our school, which is awesome for us, I think this week is the reason why they sent you here, to be honest with you. They said, we can't let a Turk and an Armenian be in the same school. That's not going to end well.
Wait, do you get like
Come
pictures?
to class
and-
this week and today and you'll find out.
Are they
So here's what we're going to
still-
do.
are
Go
they
to
still-
modules.
Wait. How does this process work? Do you have like pictures and be like, I want her?
And there's a bunch of paperwork, and she has to pay money and fill out forms and get a visa and all
you
this
didn't,
stuff.
You didn't answer the question. It's like, is there like a picture of your last? You said, I want her.
Okay, you don't get to
What
pick
about
who you
him?
want, but they'll send you a list and you can say no.
Because if you need help picking, I'll help you out.
What about him?
Don't pick him out.
My request has been for some sub-Saharan African running backs and some Ukrainian offensive linemen, but we haven't got any.
Yeah, go to some Sweden.
They're out for your spot.
So, here's what's going to go on. In modules, you should see something that shows up underneath the Treaty of Versailles, which is still turned on,
Armenian genocide.
but it's in quotes. Now, Nare, you have to be patient with me and let me explain the quotations before you throw rotten eggs at me this morning. Okay? It's in quotations because here's what you need to know. The United States, which considers itself, for the most part, a champion on human rights.
Who?
The United States is big on human rights, like protecting people, not murdering them like the Nazis did, right?
Yeah.
The U.S. says, like, we're big on that, we care, and when other countries do it, we call them out on it, right?
And then
Here's why it's in quotes, Nare.
okay.
Obviously, your country does, and if you don't know, on April 24th, which is 3 weeks away, what's going to happen in your country?
President election.
Hey, shut up and listen. Yeah, it's called Memorial Day. Now, theirs is not for soldiers in all the wars like ours is. Who specifically are you memorializing on April 24th?
1,500,000 people died in genocide.
What time period did that take place?
First World War.
Okay, so it's kind of like a funeral every year for over 1 million people. Is that an accurate description of what it's like?
No.
Kind of. Now, I've never been to Armenia on Remembrance Day, but here's the thing. There are lots of Armenians living in the United States. It really, take away like a history teacher point for me saying this in class. The Kardashians are Armenian Americans.
No.
We're all embarrassed, Armenians, Americans alike. We all reject them, but someone had to claim them, so I guess we do. They are Armenian by descent. They didn't like move here from Armenia last year, but their ancestry is from Armenia.
I knew they had some.
Here's sort of the hint when you look at someone's last name. Correct me if I'm wrong. When they end in IAN, like Kardashian, like say your last name.
Y-A-N.
Say your last name.
Azerbaijan.
What?
See how it ends? Like it. E-N, I-A-N.
Y-A-N.
She said Y-A-N.
Hers is that way, but Kardashian's I-A-N. They make the same sound, right?
Goobers all over.
That's a telltale sign that someone's family.
Mexican.
No, there's no I-A-N. Okay.
But you said they sound the same. Mexican.
Mexican would be.
Mexican.
Mexicans.
Kardashian.
Because my point is with some of you, your last name. You look at McKelkey, M-A-K, and you go, that is German.
How do you stop
Nelson, that's British. Wolfenden, I have no idea, but it's
Hunt.
German,
I
Russian.
don't know.
American.
What's Pape? British?
No, German.
It's German?
You're
Did it used to be
German?
something longer than just Pape?
Well, it means Pope. Like, that's what it is.
Pope? You know what they'll get?
I prefer the radio announcer's
Delegate.
Yeah.
pronouncement of your name, Pappy. I
Yeah.
like that one better.
Oh, I remember.
Mr. Lithuanian.
Remember
Mr.
when
Mackley.
I've never had a pronunciation name.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Mac.
Mr. Mackley.
Hey, I've heard way worse.
I've heard knees now.
Here's my point. You can tell, and there are a lot of celebrities.
Mackley.
Anyone know who Steve Sarkisian is?
He's Armenian.
Okay, he's an Armenian American. That's like saying you're a German and he's a Mexican and you're an Englishman.
American.
Ancestrally you are, but like your nationality, you were born in America.
Yeah, okay.
Steve Sarkisian was the
that
head
dude.
coach
It didn't shut
of
down.
USC. I know you don't like football.
It's not gonna.
USC, University of Southern California, and he got fired in the middle of the year last year.
No.
He's Armenian American.
Pete Carroll?
No, the two guys after him. Steve Sarkisian.
Sarkisian.
IAN, it's Armenian.
Mexican.
Let it go, Delgado. You're not Armenian.
I'm Armenian.
You're
We're
not.
all Armenian.
Here's what we're going to do. Click on the first link in this
I speak
module.
Facing history.
What do they speak?
Wait,
You guys are wound up today, and we're going to go on a
Shut up.
military march.
Shut up.
Ran off.
I've never heard my dad say shut up. Shut
Click
up.
on the first link in that module.
Shut up.
Delgado.
Yeah.
Your screen should look like mine. Let's go.
Chappy.
We're supposed to do that, and we're supposed to
Dude, he's such a. He's kind of.
That was just to get you thinking.
It's funny
It's
that
the
you're.
first one.
Reduce your share.
Oh,
Basically,
yeah.
it's
We
that
make
dude's
a
talking,
copy
like,
of
shut
it.
up.
You
Shut up.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
shut up.
We
I can
will
still
make
hear
the
that.
dog.
my man.
No,
And he's
Okay.
talking. He's like, shut up.
I'm done.
Listen,
Shut up.
listen.
What are we doing? Face?
Kyler, you're confusing talking with listening, and I'm standing right next to you when I say that.
Where did you find that?
The first one.
In the Armenian Genocide module, the first thing there is to click
Facing
on.
history.
Click on it, and you should see a giant flag that looks very familiar to you, but totally foreign to the rest of us.
That's the Cuban flag.
Armenian.
That is the Armenian flag. So let me give you a quick lowdown of what's going on when I have the calendar up. So you look, we're on today, right here, this is Monday the 4th.
Hell.
We're going to give you the background on what was going on in, not Armenia, because there was no such thing, but the Ottoman Empire, which is kind of modern-day Turkey.
My computer shut down.
Okay, Isaac, I need you to internalize those extraneous thoughts that don't affect the rest of us, so you don't stop class and get us all off track. Plug in, restart, you'll survive, I promise. Today's about the background. Now the reason why I'm using quotation marks when I say genocide, you guys know like when people talk and they use air quotes, what are they insinuating?
It's
Not literal.
Sarcasm, or like other people say it, but I don't consider it to be. I do not mean that to be offensive. That is based on historical fact in the country you're sitting in right now. Despite saying we're tough on human rights, no president in the last 100 years since this happened has ever called this genocide while they were president, and no Congress has ever issued a resolution saying what happened to the Armenian people during World War I was a genocide. So in short, our country, our government, has never called it genocide. Now, almost everyone else in the world, guaranteed every school child in Armenia says, oh yeah, it's genocide and there's evidence everywhere. So the reason I use quotation marks is our country has not recognized it as such. And due to the nature of what we're going to do the next 2 weeks, some of you are going to have the same job. So today's background, tomorrow you're going to get to pick some sources of your own and answer some basic, fundamental questions about what happened. And how can the Turks deny this and say, oh, that wasn't genocide? Because they say, the people who did this, they say that wasn't genocide, it was war. We as a government say, yeah, no one's called it genocide. Okay? And fun fact for you, our current president, spare me your thoughts of him, just remember those should be based on facts you can articulate, right?
Yep.
President Obama, like him or hate him? Have a reason. Have a reason. Listen closely. People whose fathers and Fox News have told him that he's a lying guy who doesn't do what he promises. Listen closely. When he ran for president in 2008 to get elected the first time, he said in a speech that I will show you next week, if I win and get elected president, I will point at those events, Nare, and I will say that was unequivocally, definitively genocide. No question about it, genocide. That's what he said. He's been president for 7 Remembrance Days. There's only one left, and it's in 3 weeks. Guess how many times our president has used the word genocide
0.
towards these events?
Once.
0. Now, if you're good at math, 2 terms as president, he gets 8 years. In 3 weeks, Armenians and a lot of people in America celebrate that National Memorial Day for the victims of this genocide. If a president was going to call it genocide, what day of the year do you think he would do it on? All
That's
right.
that day.
100, yeah. It's in the 2015.
Or his last year as president on April 24th. So, I have no idea what Obama's going to
You think
say.
he's gonna do it?
I bet he would.
If I had to bet money, my own money,
No.
yeah, I'd say no. Because think about it. The best predictor of future behavior, past
he gotta
behavior.
lose?
He's had 7 chances. Hasn't done it yet.
Saving it for last.
Okay, now here's the wild card. It's kind of like you tell your boss, I'm going to quit at the end of the month, and he's like, okay.
And
Are you going to work as hard? No. Are you going to work as hard the last 3 weeks?
No.
What's he going to do? Fire you? You already quit? That's Obama right now because he's done being president in less than a year. So that's called being a lame duck, and some people think he might finally call it genocide, which he promised to do 8 years ago and hasn't done yet. Now, our test is not going to be like the World War I test. You are going to write him a letter next Friday, 2 weeks ahead of Remembrance Day, so he has time to read it, and tell him what you think he should do. There are good reasons for both. There are good reasons for both. If you look on that marker tray to Nare's left there, do you see that letter with the fancy signature?
Yes, that's,
Anyone recognize that signature?
that's what vote is.
Barack Obama. That is a letter that one of our students got back from him last year, right before Remembrance Day, where they said, hey, you should call it genocide. Now, absolutely, that's why it's there. Every year, at least one kid has gotten a letter back. Brina Jones got one 2 years ago. That was Caleb Griffin who got one. Somebody else got one. So, there's a chance you'll get one back, but that's your test. You're going to write the president a letter. Yes, we will really mail it to him. Yes, he will. Someone will read it. Question.
Didn't Churchill, wasn't he the first person who used the word genocide?
Yes. Thank you, Holocaust, because it gave us, in the orange right there,
Thank you.
it made us have a conversation as a human race on what do we call this stuff. And it's kind of bad news for us that we needed to invent a new word in 1948 to categorize this behavior. Because it's happened a lot. And still happens a lot. Okay, question?
I thought we were done with tests.
But listen, test is not pencil and paper. Are we done with world wars?
Yeah.
It was not the war to end all wars. That's what everybody said about World War I. We're going to have a way bigger world war 25 years later.
And I'm going to be in it.
I know. Welcome to being a politician. You just said,
I want to protect the young people.
now,
I tried to convince politicians to give us money.
what we're going to do this week, listen,
Listening.
put it away. Put it away. On our block day, which is Thursday, I'm going to assign you to a team, and you're going to work for an organization that will not be named. No one else will know who you work for besides your teammates.
CIA.
And you are going to be hired to lobby the United States Congress to either call what happened genocide or not. I will pick your group. It's secret. You will not complain. What you will do as a group is build a presentation where you get 5 minutes to convince an audience of your peers, not your classmates in here, kids from other classes who come in here, and people on YouTube, to vote to call this act genocide or not. Okay? So when we have our block day next week, which is next Thursday, a week from this Thursday, we're going to invite every class in the school who wants to come in. Has anyone been a group member
Yes.
for that?
No
Is
way.
it kind of fun?
We get bribed with food.
Did they give you Oreos?
Yeah.
I remember that
That
class.
is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
How's that ridiculous?
I don't like Oreos unless I get milk.
I didn't get in a group.
Well, your teacher last year got invited and some of them didn't want to come.
What
It's up to
period
you.
was it?
I don't even remember last year.
Was it fifth?
I have no clue.
If it was fifth, I understand why.
Because it was misuses, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I had.
She's brought classes
Yeah.
before. So there will be freshmen, juniors, seniors that come in here. Okay? Now, here's what we have to do first.
I better come in here. I don't have Oreos. You'll be part of this.
You don't get a vote then. Here's what we have to do first. One of us in this room has a working knowledge of this topic. Could you talk for a minute about the Armenian genocide? Okay, I know you don't like public speaking. Can we test that and give you 1 minute to say whatever you want about the background? Or
You can hate on white
in
people.
Armenian, do you take an Armenian history class? Can you just tell us, what did you learn about in there dealing with this time period? If you talk, you will be with me at academic lunch for this minute.
Wait.
Remember the working knowledge thing we said to test to talk about it for a minute?
Yeah.
Should we test her working knowledge
No.
of Armenian genocide?
Why not?
It's
I'm sure she can do it, but let's find
Go
out.
ahead.
That's still not like Turkey.
Oh, not like is such a weak word.
Like
Do you still hate them?
They don't need it.
Ask
They
her.
based on their
You-
blood when
you-
they get the
you still
chance.
hate-
Okay, close your
What
laptop
about
lid, turn
Thanksgiving?
around, and listen. What did you learn about in Armenian history, or what would you want them to know? Because they know nothing about it.
So, Armenian genocide took place in 1915, but not in April 24. It started before April 24. We celebrate a memorial in April 24 because that day 600 intellectual people were killed. Some people who are responsible for the Armenian genocide are Turks, like they call them young Turks, who came to the government, the Taryat, and their Jamal Pasha, that's their names.
How do Armenians view the Young Turks?
Like, I don't know how to translate it, but they're like took the power.
What kind of guys were they
Like,
to you?
do I hate them? Azerbaijan?
How does Armenian history explain?
Well, it calls them Turks, like young Turks, like it takes the power. And their main purpose is to create a great Ottoman Turkish Empire, and the only country is Armenia, is between Azerbaijan and Turkey. Kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like they wanted to invade all Armenians. It says we're going to kill and destroy every single Armenian in the world.
Did they do a pretty good job of that?
Yes, I did. No, not everyone, but they killed lots of people, and I feel like if people should recognize Armenian genocide because after that, you know, that Hitler said, see, no one remembers Armenian genocide, so we can do the same thing with Jews. And
Did you guys know that?
What?
Did Hitler look at what happened to Armenians and say, no one cries about them, so who's going to cry about Jews after the Holocaust? True statement. Okay, does she have a clear working knowledge of this topic? Absolutely. Now, here's what we need to know. The background of this. Because some of you are like, I don't even know where Armenia is on a map. I don't know how much you read. Well, okay. With these hints, Noel, come up here. Here's what she told us. Armenia is located between Turkey and Azerbaijan. Show me where Armenia is.
Right there.
Show me. Point. You're actually really close.
What do you think? I'm stupid or
No!
something?
Read the name of the country. If you tell an American it's between Turkey and Azerbaijan, they're probably still not going to find it, unless you're Derek Nelson. Okay, where's Turkey? Okay, where's Azerbaijan? You gotta look close because it's small. See Azerbaijan? Now see that little red? It says Armenia. Here's Armenia. Okay, fun fact about Armenia. This tells you something about the history of their country. Los Angeles, California
It's bigger.
has almost as many Armenians as Armenia has Armenians. That's a weird fact, isn't
I
it?
thought it was all full of Mexicans.
There's a lot of Mexicans in LA too, but there's a lot of...
You could consider LA Mexico. There's so many Mexicans.
I've been to Los Angeles and not
There are
everyone there
3
is
million?
Mexican. Because there are 2 million Armenian Americans in Los Angeles.
Yeah, they're all like
So, think about this. How do you get a city in America that has almost as many people as your home country? How's that possible?
It says
A whole bunch.
Okay, a bunch of people left Armenia, yes, plus one other factor. Back in Armenia, what else happened besides people moving up?
Genocide.
They're getting killed in their home country. So, in simple mathematical terms, correct me if I'm wrong, a third of your people get murdered, a third of them move away. What does that leave you with?
a third.
2/3.
That's roughly what happened. Would you agree with that statement? And yes, the Kardashians are relatives or descendants of Armenians who moved here after the Armenian Genocide. Okay? None of us like them. Armenia, you guys were lucky to give them to us. We tried to give them back and you wouldn't take them. Now we're
It's
trying
like
to get
Justin
Canada to
Bieber.
take
Like
Justin Bieber
In
and they won't
Canada.
take him.
Really, we are?
So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to let this guy explain the background. You close your laptop lid halfway. There are some questions, but I'm going to offer you a deal, because I like to make deals, just like you do. If we can be on task and no one is Madden mobiling or otherwise off task, I will not have anybody doing questions. If one of you is off task and not paying attention and listening, okay, if for nothing else, I don't care if you respect me or respect this class, but recognize that we have an Armenian sitting in the room. So if we're talking about, by far, the most horrific thing to ever happen to your people in your country, I would be very disrespected if someone was playing on their phone while my class was learning about that, because you guys don't know anything about it. So at least show her some respect, and we won't do the questions.
Sweet.
Any of us are off task, we all do the questions. Okay? So I'm going to let him explain.
So is it genocide or